It's interesting that you mentioned the tendency, particularly in real time, to discount any acts of generosity if there's evidence of self-interest, and that's certainly true with very wealthy people giving lots of money today in the United States, which has engendered a cacophony of criticism. And yet, a few generations removed, people tend to forget all of that and simply enjoy the benefits of the largesse. Many people go to Carnegie Hall to listen to a concert or music, and I don't think many of them are sitting back in their seats going, "Oh, Andrew Carnegie did this whole thing, and I don't know whether we should be here and whether this is good." Or people
Yeah.
go to the University of Chicago, and I don't think are spending days walking across campus really deeply worried about John D. Rockefeller's legacy.
I get the irritation, honestly. Like, I get that people are irritated that billionaires, for example, I mean, first of all, why should they have all that money? Secondly, why should it be they who decide how to make the world a better place? It all seems unfair and annoying. And yet, if that is our only position, that's where we stop. Let's say we stop at saying there shouldn't be billionaires. Let's just change the tax laws, tax it away, and do that. Well, fine, do that, but good luck with it. It's gonna, there are many reasons why that is an incredibly hard thing to pull off. It'll probably take you decades. Meanwhile, there is $13 trillion of private capital sitting there. Do you want that just sitting there accumulating and making the billionaires you hate even richer? How about a different stance, which is to say, your philanthropy may not be perfect, but bring it on. We want more of it, not less. And by the way, it should be a public conversation about how billionaires can spend their money, but let's actually embrace it, not shy away from it. And I think that would be a much healthier situation. I think many of the ultra rich would welcome input and the chance to be involved in a broader conversation about how they should spend their money. I think many recognize that they've been incredibly lucky to have it, and that they do have an obligation to give back. But the current cultural moment makes it incredibly hard to do that. And so the unintended consequence of this level of cynicism is that we're just letting the rich get richer instead of actually engaging with them to do some good in the world. And the amount that could be achieved with that philanthropy is mind-boggling, I think.
Well, I think the billionaire pushback too is a bit, some of it's transparency, right? And some of it's accountability. It's curious to hear you say that you think that they would love to hear, crowd consensus about what to do with their money. I would love to hear more about that, because I think what people kind of coalesce around with someone like Mr. Beast, for instance. I mean, first of all, he was just like a regular dude before he started out, right? But also, at the end of the day, he is accountable to his audience. I mean, I guess he could get rich enough to a point where he doesn't really need anyone anymore if he's investing the money, let's say. But, if he loses his audience, he loses everything, basically. And that kind of accountability doesn't really exist when it comes to people that are independently wealthy.
Yeah, I think one reason why I said what I said about the rich welcoming input has been my experience running a thing called the Audacious Project, where we specifically go out and try to try to identify truly amazing philanthropic projects. Like we try to find the world's best change makers and challenge them to dream bigger than they've ever dreamed before. What could you do if money was no object? And then select from hundreds of sort of applications, if you like, a small number of imaginable, credible plans that can be turned into, say, like a 5-year project. Now, we take those to groups of high net worth individuals. And so these are projects that the donors themselves have not sourced. We've sourced them. But when we put them to those groups of people, they get really excited. They embrace the idea of supporting something that is big and bold and has been independently due diligence. They give to it anonymously. In terms of the public, as a group, they see what their peers are doing. But in the conversations that go into making those decisions, they are all about, will this work? Will it be effective? Will the world get, benefit as a result in some way, whether it's millions of children avoiding worm disease or the elimination of trachoma, the eye disease, or the creation of a new branch of science that could have incredible future potential. It's those conversations. It's not what's in it for me. Not for one moment is it that. I think big philanthropy is really hard to do right. I think it's incredibly hard to do right. And I think people would be shocked at how much, not every wealthy person, but certain wealthy people are determined to try to play a role in doing it the right way. We should not give up on big philanthropy. We should try and have a much, much, much better conversation about what it could achieve. And I think we've only scratched the surface of what it could achieve.